Yo, what's the dealio, man? Listen, you already know I got a straight banger for you today. All right. So today is Saturday. We got the small account challenge in effect. All right. So check this out, y'all. I said I was gonna commit to a small account challenge for a whole year, right? And that's what we doing, right? Win, lose, or draw, we showing up. So I want to let you know, none of this in this video is financial advice, okay? If you want to do this, if you want to take this advice, be sure to go look at talk to a licensed financial advisor if that's what you want to do. All I'm doing is sharing my experience from somebody that quit their job, does this full time, right? Read the charts every day, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So if you guys are watching this, be sure to like this video real quick. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right. So we got the small account challenge, right? So I'm actually pretty happy with this week. I did miss out on some profits and I missed out on some a couple trades, but I'm a firm believer that you can't really miss out on something that you didn't get, right? So at the end of the day, I did exactly what I was supposed to do this week in a small account challenge. All right. So we're gonna go through. It was only 3 trades this week. This is a lesson as well, right? The small account challenge, more than growing money, it's about lessons, right? It's about lessons and helping share lessons with all of you guys, whether you new, experienced, whatever the case is, right? So let me say this. It was a holiday weekend. I knew that we was gonna be off on Thursday. So I said for the small account, I'm gonna take it light, right? I'm gonna take it light because I don't know what's gonna happen, right? We could go up, we could come down. Things looking like they want to go up, but we just got to see. So it's easier to absorb a loss when you have a bigger account because you can make more money back if you end up losing it, right? I'm not saying go in revenge trade, but what I'm saying is, right? Let's say I go lose. Let's say I go lose $500, right? Okay, I go lose $500. It's a lot easier for me to make $800 to $1,000 in a trade, right? With a bigger account rather than my account right here is small, so I kind of have to be a little bit more careful and a little bit more selective. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna go into the small account, and I'm gonna break everything down for you guys so you know where we standing at right now. All right. All right. So we got the small account right here. We got right now we sitting at 535. We grew from last week. All right. Now let's go into, so we're in the profit, we're in the green, right? So I had one small mistake, and I wish I didn't make this mistake, but where's the history at? All right. So IWM, I entered in that IWM swing last week, right? I told you guys it was on a 312 bullish reversal setup, right? I ended up getting out a little too early, right? I got out a little too early because it was coming down in the beginning of the day on Monday. And I was like, man, it was actually higher than my entry, but the contract was down. I got it out until Tuesday's expiration, but it was down. And I was like, man, I don't want to lose more than what I'm already kind of down. It's looking like it's about to come down. It was on a bearish 3-bar. I got out, and then about a couple hours later, it did end up going up, right? And so this was at 238, and this week IWM went up $10, right? So I did fumble the bag on that one. It is what it is, right? That's just trading. In real time, it's not always easy to know exactly what's about to happen. And sometimes you can trust yourself and trust what you see, and it could go the opposite way, all right? And that's why trading is so challenging at times because of that psychological part. All right, so I lost $17 on that trade on IWM. It was a winning trade. If I would have held on for the whole day, this contract would have been up 100% plus. All right, but it is what it is. All right, so that was IWM. Next trade, QUBT. All right, let's look at QUBT. Bought in at $120. Okay, I had caught this one from the watch list. Bought in at 120. All right, on the 24th, and then later on that day. Sold out $21, right? So that was a smooth trade right there. Ended up getting out of that trade the same day. I believe it was like 15, 20%. No, it was like 20, 20% or something like that, right? I bought in at 120 and I made 20 bucks. So yeah, that was like it was like 18% that I was able to secure, okay? So we got $21 on there, but that was like a little bit under 20% right there. And then applied, right? Got into a contract on applied at for $124 on November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, and then made $18 on that trade right there. This one was like 20% as well, right? It was a 20% return. 124, sold it at 142, and that was $18. So that was like 18% also, okay? So what that does is that puts us right here. So I went 2 for 3 this week in the small account challenge, all right? One of the trades lost, like I say, $17. Other 2 trades made it positive on the week. It's not a lot of money, but it's about the habits and it's about that consistency and ability to be able to show up and make profit on your trades consistently. Okay, I always say, how much is a bank gonna give you in a day? They're not gonna give you 18, 20%, 25% returns in a day. They're just not gonna do it, right? So stock market is a way that you could change your life and you can make big money, big bank. All right, so we're sitting at 535 going into next week. I am not holding any contracts right now. December is on Monday, December 1st. So we have a whole new month. So I want to see how the month opens up first before I go and I get into any more swings. Okay, so I'm not holding anything. We're sitting right here, and I'm happy with that. Right, so I'm gonna show you guys the actual trades on the charts, and then I'm gonna break these down. Okay, so let's go right here. All right, so first one I said was IWM. Okay, now if we go to the weekly or the daily, boom, right? So look right here, right? This was Friday, last Friday. Right, this was last Friday right here. Okay, so I had took an entry right here on Friday, right? Last Friday, I took my entry right there. And then it gapped up and then it came down a little bit, but the price was still above where I entered in at. And I was down. And I was like, this contract is moving kind of weak, and it started to come down some, and then it came up a little bit, and I was like, let me just get out, right? So I didn't fully give it a chance, but it looked like it was coming down, and I was like, man, this could be a little fake out, so let me just get out and let me ensure that I could still protect my account, right? And so took my exit right there. All right. It is what it is. Could have held it all day and been up crazy, right? Now, so that was that one, right? Then we had QUBT, right? QUBT. So they had a crazy day this day. This was on the 24th. That's when we took entry, right? So I called it. I said above 1094, right? Entering the calls. And then that was on Monday, on the 24th, Monday, right? So took an entry, right? Let's go back to Monday, Tuesday, Monday, all right? And then boom. All right, so yeah, so we were right here. Where were we at? Yeah, we were like a little bit above. We were like right here is where I had ended up taking entry at, right after this little 3-bar. Okay. You see that 3-bar right there? So I saw it here, and I ended up taking entry on QUBT. Took entry right there, right? And then it did pump, and it had a nice, strong close to the day. And so we ended up taking profit. I took profit about right here. Okay. Took my exit right there. All right. And we was able to bank on that one. right? So from here to here, nice little move. Wanted to get out before the end of the day. And as you can see, it did come down and then it pushed up and then it came down again. And then to Friday, it pushed up some more, right? So I'm glad that I took profits here. Obviously, I could have got in earlier, but I was paying attention to something else. But later on, I saw a good setup. It was holding structure, and then I took entry, and then I got it, right? So that's QUBT. And then the other one, we had Applied. I've been talking about Applied all week. If you're in the Discord, you know I've been talking about Applied all week, right? So took them. This was on Wednesday. Yep. Right. So if you look at the daily, I knew that they had room to come all the way up to $26. So if you look at it the other day, boom. So this was on Wednesday. Thursday we was off and Friday, right? So what happened? I saw here, we came up, we came down some, and then I saw it starting to push up, right? So what happened was we gapped up from here to here, right? So we closed on the daily time frame. We closed on the daily time frame right here. All right. So we closed right here. That was where we closed out on Tuesday. Right. So what happened was the next day on Wednesday, we opened up right here. Okay. We opened up right here. Then what happened is we came up and then we came down. We filled the gap. We filled the gap. And then once I saw we started to push up, that's when I took the entry because we had already filled the gap to the downside and I knew what the daily structure was looking like, right? So what did I do? I took entry on this candle right here. Okay. No, it wasn't that candle. It was actually this candle right here. Right? Yeah, right here. Boom. Because it was like at 24, it was like at 24.30 is where I got in at. Yep. So around right here. Took entry at. Right? So I took entry right here. All right. And then I saw us pumping. Right? We came up. And then I actually, before the market, we was getting closer towards the end of the day, we was up here. And then that's where I ended up taking profits at. Right? So boom, right here. That's where I exited at. Okay? And then took profits. All right? So here to here, nice little move on a day trade. 18, 20%. Done deal. All right. If I would have got 2, 3, 4 contracts, then we would have been good. But I'm practicing my risk management with this small account. 500 something bucks, $120 per contract. That's a little bit more like 20% of the account balance, right? And that's, some would say that's still a little bit too much, but this is how I'm doing it. So we hit on that one as well. So for this week, we went 2 for 3. Next week, we have a ton of data. We have a ton of data. So I'm going to partake more in my small account from a day trading perspective. It's going to be very volatile, so there are going to be some nice moves this coming up week. All right. It's also going to be the first week of a new month. So that's going to come with its own things as well. All right. So that's a small account challenge. That's where we're at. I'm feeling good about where the account is at. I'm feeling good about the execution this week as well, minus that IWM, because that could have put the account up to like $800, but it's all good, right? We ain't going to complain over spilled milk, but we do learn from it and we get better from it on an everyday basis. All right. So I hope that this video helped. I hope that you got something out of this video. All right. If you did, let me know in the comments, right? Let me know what you're thinking, what you liked. And we're going to keep this train going. All right. We got the live tomorrow. We're going to go live tomorrow. We're going to talk about the setups that I'm seeing for the week. All right. Like I always say, make sure you guys get up out of your head and go get into this world, because your head is a dangerous place to live. All right. And also remember, y'all, the more you study, the less you worry. All right. I appreciate y'all tapping in. I appreciate y'all time. All of y'all have a great weekend and y'all stay smooth, man. Peace.